In this lesson, we encourage you to make contact with feeling. Of course, you have been doing that already, and sometimes it happens all of a sudden, but let's do it consciously in this lesson. So first of all, you need to locate the sensations and feelings. You need to follow the sensations. You need to expand the sensation. But then there's this very important step. Make contact with feeling. Usually we observe something. Oh, I'm aware of my feelings. So there are feelings in the body, and you say, yeah, I'm aware of my feelings. I'm doing kumne. That's true, but that's outer kumne. If you want to move from outer kumne to inner kumne, and then there is a more inner kumne, but not much more than that. So if you want to move from outer kumne, doing physical movements, being aware of the feeling tone in the room, in your body, now you need to make contact with the feeling. Theoretically, it is simple. You have a feeling, and your awareness, or maybe your attention if you like, your focus, your mindfulness is a little bit differently, but you bring your mind to the feeling, or your feeling to mind. So instead of having feelings, let's say, in the chest, and your mind says, yeah, I'm aware of the feelings, those two, can you bring them together? Ultimately, kumne dissolves duality. That's why it's such a precious practice. It dissolves duality between body and mind, between inner and outer, between now and later. It just comes all together, and that's what makes you really relax, and that's what makes your inner nature come out. Otherwise, we're stuck in duality. It's maybe a little theoretical, but there's this tension that is really not natural, the tension of duality. So when that dissolves, then really the tension of life is at your disposal, and you are free to exercise it. So you can do that in kumne by contacting the feeling. So how do you make contact? Well, I always think back of, I don't know if they still do this, but in the old days you dance cheek to cheek. So you put the cheek of you against your partner and you dance cheek to cheek. So you feel the cheeks against each other. That's how you make contact. Or a little kid puts his lips against the window. Make contact with the window. How do you make contact? Make contact with hands. So if you hold somebody's hand, then you probably feel that hand, or you're thinking of something else, or you squeeze it or whatever. But can you just feel the two hands making contact? So when you're lying in the sun and you feel the sun on your back or in your face, you're making contact with the sun. If you're lying there, say, oh, I've worried that I put on this and we need to do that, and is it too hot? You're not making contact. And I think people are very good at making contact with sunlight. So if you lie down, can you feel the warmth on the sun? Can you let it in? That's half of making contact. The other half is that you go in the warmth. So the warmth is on your back. You feel that. You feel warmth on your back. Can you also go with your awareness into that warmth? That's how you make contact. So the real contact is when two seemingly separate things go into each other. So you receive and you give, and you don't know anymore if you're receiving or giving. It's just a process of exchange. So now we do that with feeling, which is a little bit more difficult because it's less physical. So you go into the body and there's a feeling. You go towards it, or you let it come to your mind. The way that might help is you imagine you enter it. So if there's a feeling, as if you can open it up. You open it up and you go in. So you always go in towards the center, and then you let the center come into you. You have an idea of how to make contact? I mean, you do it all day long. And this is really what people crave, is contact, without grasping or aversion, without being afraid, just neutral intimacy, meaning not indifferent intimacy, but neutral, not grasping, wanting, and not kind of withdrawing from it. Neutral contact, contact with nature, contact with the atmosphere in the room, contact with people without having opinions about them. People will feel very safe with you if you develop that. So make contact with your feelings, meaning bridge the gap. go to it and let it go to you. But you have your own ideas too, how to make contact. As long as there is not a manipulative mind at work, more a loving mind, an interesting mind, a gentle mind. So gently, with interest, go closer and feel. Something is pleasant, something unpleasant. Doesn't matter. You make contact. Try.